Okay, hello everyone. Today is August 19th, 2020. This is the every 2 weeks update on React Storefront, the open source React-based progressive web app framework targeting at speed for e-commerce sites and built on Next.js. Today we have Richard, who is going to walk us through this week's update. Richard, take it away.
Thank you, Ishan. So today's very simple. We are currently at version 8.15.1, and there's actually no bug or feature updates this week, but we do have something extra. So what we have today is an update to the connectors portion of React Storefront. So I'd like to walk you guys through how to set up the Salesforce Commerce Cloud connector for React Storefront. So let's jump over to that demo. So on the GitHub page here for the connector, we have really nice docs on how to get this all set up. And we're going to go ahead and get started with creating a React Storefront project with our CLI tool. And we're going to go ahead and just name this my SFCC app, which will automatically create that directory. And we're just going to go through the default setup here. Just make sure to change this, will you be deploying to your app on MoveUp XDN to yes. And we will create a directory for this app. So now we're going to fast forward through the installation of the dependencies. Okay, great. So now that we have our app installed in our new directory, let's go head into that directory. And before we start the application, we need to do a couple changes. First things first, we need to install, of course, we need to install the React Storefront Salesforce Commerce Cloud connector. So let's go ahead and get that installed. And once again, we're going to fast forward through the installation. Great, now the connector is installed. Now we want to configure the environment variables so the connector knows how to connect to the Salesforce Commerce Cloud APIs. So we just create a .env file. And I already have some of this ready to copy and paste. So I'll just save that. And we're almost ready to go. One last change we'll need to make, which is in the next config.js. And that's just to tell React Storefront to use the Salesforce Commerce Cloud connector. Now let's replace the mock connector with the Salesforce Commerce Cloud connector. Okay, we should be ready to go now. So let's try starting our app. As you can see here, React Storefront tells us that it is using the new connector. And it looks like our app is ready in development mode on port 3000. So let's go ahead and go to it. All right. Don't worry about this error here. We know about this and we're working on this. This is just a Webpack development warning that's going on right now. As you can see in the terminal here, the connector has gone out and fetched a new token in order to obtain all the data you're seeing here. So as you can see on the top, we have all the categories. And let's go ahead and jump into women's clothing. Oh. Okay, great. So you can see the data is coming in and the category pages are being filled. All right, so now that we see it's working locally, let's go ahead and try to deploy it to the XDN. We're just going to use XDN deploy, which will deploy it to my private container. So this will build the app and deploy it. If it's your first time doing a deploy or a build and deploy, it might take a little bit longer. And we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this again. Great. Now our site is deployed. And what you have here is you have two links. One is the link to the live app, and the other is a link to the console page. So we're just going to jump over to the console, go into the project, and you can see my new build, which was just pushed here. All right, now we're going to open up the new build in a new tab. Awesome. So let's check a couple of the PLPs. Women's, men's. Awesome. Let's jump into a product page. Great. As you can see here, all the data is coming from the SFCC APIs and being rendered by React Storefront. All right, we have finished deploying a React Storefront site connected to the Salesforce Commerce Cloud to the XDN.
Okay, thank you, Richard. That was really exciting. So even though there wasn't much change to RSF this week, we had a huge update in a brand new connector, an additional platform supported out of the box with React Storefront. At this phase, it's question and answer time. So a reminder, you can type your questions into chat. Looks like we have a question coming in, and it asks, what version of Ocappy does the connector work with? Well, that's a great question. Actually, none of the versions of Ocappy. The new connector is based on the new CC APIs. Actually, let me back up a second. Ocappy, for those who don't know, is the Salesforce Commerce Cloud API format. And they came out with, Ocappy stands for Open Commerce API. There's been, that's been around for years, but recently Salesforce just released a new set of APIs called the Commerce Cloud APIs, or CC APIs. And the connector actually works with CC APIs and doesn't work with Ocappy. So that's actually a good question and a clarification that this works only with the new CC APIs. If there's interest and demand for Ocappy, let us know, but it's quite clear the future is in the CC APIs, and so that's why we chose that route. And just so folks know, at least at the current moment, under the hood, the CC APIs have roughly the same functionality, and they actually powered in some cases by the Ocappy APIs. So that's a good question. Richard, anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, that sounds pretty straightforward.
Okay, great. So looks like that's all we have for questions today. So thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.